start. No, we haven't always had a lot of women in roles like this today, but we're working hard at NAWO to change that. So no matter how you identify, there's a role out there for you. Hearing from inspiring women about their career journeys and how they've connected their school interests to the age they are now is really cool to hear about, and I can't wait to hear what our wonderful panelists have to talk through tonight. So, on behalf of NAWO, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to the wonderful booth holders. They've got some really exciting stuff out there. You can go take advantage of it afterwards and eat some more yummy food. Thank you to Woodside for generously hosting us tonight. To Steph, one of Woodside's subsea engineers, what a cool role, for facilitating this NAWO When I Grow Up event series. And lastly, thank you to all of you guys and your parents for coming in tonight to get inspired. I hope everyone enjoys it. I'm just going to pass you over to Jack, who works at Woodside, who's also one of our NAWO volunteers. So just a quick safety briefing. Thank you, Jack.
All right, I'd love to have a volunteer for this. Would anyone like to get into a microphone and make a little noise into the microphone? It's a little whoop, whoop, whoop noise. Anyone like to do that? Got any volunteers? Oh, I've got a volunteer up there. Okay, come up here, come up to the front. So, what we're going to do, if in the case of an emergency, you'll hear the following sound. It goes. Very good. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, if you hear that noise, that means, because it's after hours, usually most people are familiar with the beep, 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 then a whoop, 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 because it's after hours, it'll just be straight into the whoop, whoop, whoop. If we do, the emergency to the stairs you came up, basically that's the way to go. Thank you very much. That was very good. Well done. Excellent. That's the way we exit the building, is the way you came in, up the stairs. And then we go over the bridge and down. Hopefully we don't do it, it's quite a long walk. It's a cold night, so I really might want to do it, but if you follow us, we'll end up over in the square down there. So, well, very unlikely. Toilets is the other thing, down the stairs again. You will see it down to the left. There's a little doorway to the left. Go around there for the toilets, you can make them afterwards. But let's get on with the panel. Very good.
Cool. So welcome everyone, good evening, and thank you for coming to today's panel discussion. So we'll explore today how our lovely panelists have embarked on their career paths, and we'll also have the opportunity for you guys to ask questions. So as Jocelyn said before, my name is Stephanie Joseph and I'll be your facilitator for today. I will reach out to you throughout the session so that you can ask questions. However, if anyone does have a question that they're not so comfortable to ask in front of the entire audience, these ladies will be available after the panel for you to have a chat with after this session. So thank you very much to our panelists for coming today to answer some questions. So I'll get each of our lovely ladies to introduce themselves, stating name, where they work at, a little bit about themselves, and also a fun fact. So, Kelsey, over to you.
Before we do, how's everyone over here? Do you want a microphone or not? How are people going? Are people over here?
We're quite loud.
I'm loud.
Okay,
we're just warming up.
Shout out, let us know if you want the microphone.
Yeah, if you can't hear, just let us speak.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Clark. So I work at Woodside, currently in this business space, but by trade I'm an engineer. I'm also Vice Chair of the Board of Engineers Without Borders Australia. And a fun fact about me is I actually have a fake tooth.
We'll ask a question later at the end of the panel if you can spot the fake tooth. Thank you.
Thanks. Donna Stace. I work at Rio Tinto, and by trade I'm a mechanical fitter and machinist, currently working as an operational specialist for Rio. And fun fact's really hard. So I was born in Dampier up north, and my mum and dad actually knew Red Dog. So. And he's not clean and shiny like in the movie, or he wasn't clean and shiny.
I'm Gemma Macker. I'm the Managing Director of PCM Group, so my own industrial maintenance company. I work throughout Northern Territory and Western Australia. I'm a mum to 3 children, and a fun fact about me is I'm a little bit of a piggy. I would eat a whole family box wherever I go before I had an issue of gluten. So, whole Macca's family box. I'll not share it with my family.
My name's Kate Baker. I'm a project manager with Monadelphous. I'm a mechanical engineer by background, the mum of 2 young girls, 5 and 7. And my fun fact, I'm pushing my love of Star Wars onto my children. Thank you, Baby Yoda, for getting the next generation into Star Wars. But I grew up as a Star Wars nerd through and through, still am. So any kids out here that haven't jumped on Star Wars bandwagon, Ahsoka comes out August. Next series to get on it. Mums and dads and kids.
Well, thank you again. So I'll start off with the first question. All right. So what did you want to be when you grew up? What interests did you enjoy as a teen? And how have those interests shown up throughout your career journey and where you are today? Let's start with Kelsey.
Yes, so believe it or not, but I went to a performing arts school. So I'm from New South Wales, and I was there for originally music, and then I moved to drama. So I was doing a lot of acting at school, and I moved into sort of directing when I was a bit older, directing of theatre shows and the like. So I loved that space, but I was also good at math and science. And the school encouraged me to get involved, I guess, in events like this, really. So they encouraged me to come along to these events, to even in engineering events, and it was at one of those events that I met an engineer called Tanya. And Tanya had, she was working at the CSIRO on some pretty cool projects, but she'd also been to Antarctica, and I was really fascinated by a career that could lead me to Antarctica. And one thing led to another, and I ended up doing work experience with her when I was 16, and I was in year 10, and then I ended up going into engineering. But some of the skills that I still do today that I use there's a lot of people see arts and math and science is very different, but there's actually a lot of things that are in common. So you can think about creative problem solving. So everyone here's probably, solved a problem, right? Well, engineers also solve problems. So I've been able to apply things like that, my creativity, to the day, what I do day to day. Another good, analogy is directing. So when you're directing a theatre show, you can imagine you have to be organised, you have to get all the actors to learn their lines, you have to make sure everyone's moving in the right place on the stage, you have to be involved with the set design, the costume design, and all that sort of stuff. And all those skills that you learn through that is really applicable to project management and how you might get a project up and going for a company. So there's been a lot of things that I've been able to draw from my background in performing arts into now my career in engineering.
It's a long way down there. Okay, so I'm one of these really strange people that I actually knew what I wanted to do when I was 14 years old.
It's a very specific age, too.
Yes, and it was a very, very long time ago. So I decided that I wanted to do a trade. I originally landed on wanting to be a boilermaker. And up in the Pilbara, being a boilermaker means that it's very hot, heavy, noisy work, and my father's an electrician, so he, had a few conversations with me about whether or not I actually really wanted to be a boilie or not. So I ended up landing on being a mechanical fitter, and worked towards getting an apprenticeship out of school, so I did work experience in a lot of different places, and then decided it's absolutely for me. I was also I loved manual arts at school, and I was the only girl in the manual arts class doing all the woodwork and metalwork and all that sort of stuff, but just absolutely loved it. So and living up in the Pilbara, it was great. Had really great opportunity to access the industry there. So I started my apprenticeship straight out of school and finished out. I actually did my apprenticeship at Woodside, even though I now work for Rio, so good connection there. And really, I haven't been on the tools for a very long time. because, you know, you sort of move away from that. But the best thing about having a trade and having that skill is that I've actually been able to apply it in every other role that I've had, even when I've done health and safety work or compliance work and different things like that. Having that basis and that knowledge about how things work and how they go together and processes and what we do within the industry is super beneficial. It's also given me a little bit of street cred in my career. So, you know, walking into a workshop full of young and old gentlemen, and then they just think you're sort of an admin girl coming out for a visit, and I can actually talk the talk with them. Yeah, they soon realise that, okay, they're not going to pull the wool over my eyes, so that's been very handy. And yeah, and it's just been the best thing, and I've been able to build on that and move ahead with my career and use that as a basis of everything I do. And I do help out, you know, as a technical expert with certain things at times. Like my husband will ask me for advice and I give it. I tell him that I'm the SME for him now. And really quickly, but another fun fact, I guess, is when we were first getting together, my husband and I, his car, he had a problem with his alternator. So I actually changed it out for him and got him back on the road, and he cooked me dinner. So it's very handy, very handy.
It's good to have that practical appreciation for your role as well.
Yeah.
My dad always tries to challenge me. He's like, what size spanner is this going?
I used to steal my dad's tools. So.
So I obviously grew up, I've got 3 brothers, so everything was, you have to change your own tires, you have to do all that stuff. I was the Goldie that got smashed around. So my first, numbers was always my thing, mathematics. But I started doing modelling because I wanted to travel, and I came through a family where we didn't have much. So that was my goal, to travel. Like, that was it, that was my ticket to travel. But my love of maths was always there. Clearly I'm not a model. So I didn't travel the world with that. I had opportunities, I went to Singapore and a few things like that, but mathematics was always my thing. So as I grew a little bit older and realised I could support myself doing other items, it was accounting. Accounting was always. Flipped between accounting and law, and it went to accounting, and that's obviously, I run all the commercial side of my company, so that has helped in that area.
So I can't remember ever not wanting to be an engineer. When I get asked this question, I can say I was probably just born an engineer. My dad's a civil engineer, and I'm the eldest of 3 girls, so I was the son. I'm the eldest girl, but no, I've got a son. You're just going to be following me around everywhere. But it was just being practical, always outside, always in the garden, always asking questions. He'd be challenging my thinking. How does this work? And it just fostered that curiosity from such a young age. And we did a lot of local trips. We couldn't really afford to go interstate, so it would just, let's go and drive down to Augusta or drive down south and go via a subdivision and have a look at a drainage basin or a road on the way.
That's a typical civil engineer.
Yeah, and as I got older, I went, it's a tax break. He's claiming his fuel for work. Didn't realise that until I was much older, but it was just part of life of looking at things all the time and asking questions, and fostered that curiosity in me. And I love space. I thought for quite some time I wanted to work as an aerospace engineer. My maths isn't that good, so I was never going to work in that industry, and there's not a lot of job opportunities as well. My French wasn't really good enough to go and work in at Boeing over in France, so I chose mechanical engineering instead. And there were, I think when I graduated, there were 5 women of 52 that graduated in mechanical engineering, and 2 were identical twins. And I think even to the last year I still couldn't, until they cut their hair, I couldn't work out which twin was which, because they were just purely identical and brilliant women as well. But I guess growing up as a kid, I always saw engineering as just asking questions about the world, and I don't really use a lot of my technical degree in what I do every day now, but it's got that thinking of, I love making lists and being organised, except for my desk. My desk is not organised at all. I like just stacking things into a pile and procrastinating and putting it over to the side as well, but
I think, yeah, it's really important to never lose that curiosity in the work that we do. You can do that every single day and be challenged and be excited by what you do.
That's great, thanks ladies. And as incredible leaders, what advice would you have for the ladies in our audience about career choices for future jobs?
So for me, the one thing that I've come to learn is that change begins at the end of your comfort zone. So it's, as you know, as you go through life, you'll get opportunities, and it's up to you to really go, what am I going to make of that opportunity? So I think it's really important to, we all come from different standpoints, we all have different opportunities offered to us in our lives, but it's what we make of those opportunities that really make the difference. So for example, I was in, when I went into engineering, up until that point, I didn't know a single engineer. I didn't have any engineers in my family, my friends, my friends' parents were not engineers either. So for me, going into engineering, even though it was something I was interested in, it was something that, I entered into with a cohort of people, and the lucky ones like Kate, who might have, family connections, which is great, and it's not a critique of that at all. It's just, I think, when you know that you want something, even if you've got hesitation around it, I think it's important to push yourself and try it out, because it's okay to try, and if you know that you've tried, then it's okay to walk away from it, right? But you don't know until you try whether it's something that you really love doing. The other thing, I moved from New South Wales to WA, and I'd only up until that point been to Perth once. That was for one night, and that was for my interview with Woodside when I was a student. And I decided to move because I loved the opportunity that was presented on the graduate program here, and I didn't know anyone in Perth bar my partners, now husbands, school friend who I sort of didn't really know that well at all. So I started from scratch with making friends and connections. But yeah, just remember, change begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Can I add something? Yeah.
Go.
So I was going to say, as a mum, I always tell my kids I stayed in my comfort zone and I never was pushed by my parents due to not having the opportunities. They didn't have those opportunities financially or knowing people, whatever. But if it scares you, go for it. If you're scared, mum and dad will make you do it. I make my children do everything they hate, and it's because I knew better. Because I was the kid that hid from everything. But also, you mentioned if there's an opportunity there. I didn't get many opportunities, so what I would say to you from the flip side of that, hunt your opportunity, but don't give up, because just because you don't have that in front of you doesn't mean it's not right for you. And I was told by my student counsellor at school in my exams that I was too dumb to go to TAFE. And I now run a company and I've done accounting. So don't listen, not everyone knows you, and someone may be having a bad day and take it out on you, and it may be a reflection of yourself, but just keep pushing on.
I completely agree. It's those experiences that challenge you.
Yeah, I walked out of school, and I'm not telling anyone to walk out of school, and I went and signed up to TAFE and an accounting course, and I passed it. Little mistake there. I did walk out of school because I was stubborn, but I ended up on the right path and I finished that. So that's no disclaimer that no one will walk out of school. Make sure you know what you want to do, but it just means you can do what people tell you you can't. So just don't give up. Please don't walk out of school. I was 17, so I would have to make my own decision. But,
Yeah, look, I mean, further to that as well, there's a saying that says, feel the fear and do it anyway. So that's all about getting outside your comfort zone and stuff. So I guess a piece of advice that I would give is don't think you have to know what you're going to do, and don't think that that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your career. Because like I said, I started as a mechanical fitter and machinist, and I think I've had about, 2 too many other roles in my career. So, and your career won't necessarily be linear either. Take the opportunities to go sideways and around about and inside out and experience those experiences and different opportunities. I've travelled with my career. I lived in London and Dublin, working over there. And when I first got to London, I worked in a bookshop just to make some English money and feed myself, and then, you know, worked back into maintenance, and I did building maintenance over there. And, you know, I'd come from construction and oil and gas, and now I was doing building maintenance. So don't think that, you know, once you choose something, that's it, you're stuck, because I think some people, especially nowadays, the options are massive, and people and kids think that they have to know what they want to do. If you're interested in something and it takes your fancy, then explore it. And like Kelsey said, you know, and even if you find out you don't like it, then well, at least you know what you don't like, right? So you can move to something else and do it. But don't be paralysed with the fear of not knowing what you're doing, and then stop yourself from actually going and exploring stuff and checking stuff out. So, and that's where, if you've got any opportunity at high school to go do work experience or vacation work or all that sort of stuff, jump at it, get out there, go talk to people. I talk to so many kids and I ask, well, what does your mum and dad do for a job, or what do your parents do for a job? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, well, there's your first bit of homework. Go and ask your parents what they do, ask them what they like about their job, and then that's you starting your journey of finding out what you might want to do in the future.
So get some homework.
Yeah, sorry. And I've got 3 children as well, so I know you won't do it, but anyway.
Yeah, on a similar note, I guess just echoing that you don't have to know every bit of your job when you start your job, and you won't know every single thing that there is to know. And I see it so common with young engineers that they put all this stress on themselves that I'm straight out of uni, I have to do all this technical work, I have to know absolutely everything, but you really don't. The industry we work in is so great because you can learn really quickly little pockets of people and the information that they know and
go
what
find
they're
the
really
crusty
good at.
old trades person that's been doing it for 30 years and make friends. Biscuits, coffee.
That is it. They have the knowledge, they are gold as well. So don't let that fear of you not knowing how to do absolutely everything in a role stop you from just giving it a go and working it out along the way, and then finding all of those people that can help you on that journey and bridge those little knowledge gaps.
Can I hijack the panel for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you girls and
Hands, raise of hands. Who knows what they want to do?
cool. Is it trade? Because obviously, for me, like I'm just standing here like black sheep. I love trade, but didn't do trade. So is it trade based? What is it?
Pilot? Oh, that's a cool career.
Sorry, I'm hijacking your
Oh, no,
thing.
no, I'll allow it. Oh,
Nice.
very cool.
And you had your hand up too.
Design fashion structures.
Oh, right. I knew the man. My mum was a hairdresser to the guy who designed Fat Cat. You know the hedgehog? 10. Oh no, you're not old enough. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the animation. The guy that done all of the animation in Australia and did it for Walt. Yeah, I knew him. He was deaf as well, and he done all the initial animation for Australia, cartoon animation. It's pretty spectacular when you see it.
Sounds like
I just wanted to know if it was all around the trades.
But also, can I say, like all of those jobs you can find, or elements of those jobs you can find in the resources industry as well. So don't think you're sitting here and we're talking about resources and what you want to do doesn't align with what we do. Like, you know, and it might not be you don't work for RE or whatever, but we have aviation. We have an aviation stand. We have to work
the choppers out to the
yeah, we've got the choppers.
And
so.
the drones need to be a pilot to operate drones on sites as well.
Yeah. So there's and design, like all that sort of stuff. Like Kel said, we need creative people in mining. It gets pretty bad if we don't have them. So absolutely. If you've and what was the other career? Biologists. Oh yeah, God, we've got a ton of them too. So.
I just had a few faces looking at resources and I was like, nah, how do we address that?
It's absolutely,
Yeah, that's great. At think I might pass it over to the audience if there's anyone that's got any questions at the moment before I keep going with the rest of my questions. Does anyone have a burning question they'd like to get off their chest? No, we'll keep going with the questions. All right. So who was your biggest role model that inspired your career pathway?
So I didn't have, I can't really say I had a biggest role model, but I would say my first role model was the person I mentioned at the start, so Tanya. So the first engineer I ever met, she had been to Antarctica for her work. And for me, that was so inspiring to go, well, that's, you know, it was a bit of travel, but it was also, you know, this remote, beautiful place, and what careers could take you to that sort of environment. She was so passionate about her work, but she also, what she did is, you know, she put faith in me when I was a student, when I was, you know, you were 16, so a bit older than some of you, but are there any 16-year-olds in the audience?
Any that think you're 16?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so, and to have someone, you know, from a, you know, and again, she was in a different field to what I ended up going into, but to have somebody who took the time out of their work day to then bring me in as a work experience student when I was in year 10, I think that was pretty special. And it's the little things. You'll meet very inspirational people, and that's awesome. But sometimes, you know, the role models around you and the little things they do, I think, can make a bigger impact.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, like, I actually find this is a tricky question to answer, because when I was looking at going into the trade, so if we go back from who was inspiration when I was younger, there was no female tradeswomen, like, anywhere. They didn't exist. So the fact that I actually hooked onto that and decided, no, bugger, that's what I was going to do. You know, there was, you know, we didn't have any of these types of events or anything like that. So it actually, I think, and it might sound a little bit corny, but my parents, the fact that my parents were like, yeah, okay. And like, the reason Dad talked to me about being a boilie was not because he didn't want me to do a trade. He was just like, do you realise like how hot you're going to get and how noisy it's going to be and you'll go deaf and blah, blah, blah. But never once was I told, like, you can't, Donna, we don't want you to do a trade. So, you know, and they absolutely supported me in doing that. And there's actually research out there that's been done by an organisation called Tradeswomen Australia that shows that if young girls that are thinking about doing a trade have the support of their parents, particularly their mothers, they are more likely to succeed in pursuing that and doing that. So I think the fact that, that I was never ever held back, and it wasn't even a, you know, oh yeah, no, you know, you should definitely do it. It was more just organic, and the fact that there was never the question about it. You know, and my dad is and was a pretty old school tradie, but then he went on to be a training manager in Papua New Guinea and actually hired the first female apprentice in Papua New Guinea. So just inherently, you know, they supported what I wanted to do and stuff. So, and then now I just get super excited about like meeting other tradies and meeting other women that are really kicking goals in resources and surrounding myself with amazing women that do this stuff. And it's it's just so amazing to have that community now in what we do. So yeah.
I'm not going to disclose my first role model because that was a bit embarrassing, but ultimately it's mum and dad. They busted their backsides. Won't say any other words. So they had the world up against them. They really did. We're from England, but came here with no one. You know, everything was always tough. Nothing was ever easy. So obviously they just taught me that just to keep working hard. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you choose to do, as long as you're happy and you work damn hard at it. So and they still to this day like do move heaven and earth for us and for that. And so, but then it's flipped to my kids. So like my eldest daughter, all of them really, but my eldest daughter's got the confidence that I'm petrified sitting here, if you cannot tell. But she's got the confidence that just like shuts down a room. And so yeah, I try and do everything to make them proud of me because I want to be like her, sort of thing. So yeah, I suppose that's my role model. That's great.
My dad being my first role model as well, and then now as a mum, look at my mum as a role model, and in the workplace, I look at all these other amazing women that I work with. Karen, Emma, who's here to support me today as well. Like that's what we see in our role models. It's the behaviour that they do, and role models can change. You can have as many role models across all different parts of your life as well. You don't have to just pick one role model and go, yeah, I want to be like them. There's no point. That's them. You be like you. You take all these little bits from all other different people that you admire and want to put into yourself as well. So yeah, it changes all the time.
No, I love that. It sounds like parents, for you ladies were pretty pivotal. And for myself personally, my dad was my biggest role model, becoming an engineer. So yeah, no, I resonate with all of that. Cool. So next question. What is the most exciting thing you've done in your career so far?
Well, I've said it before that I met an engineer called Tanya who went to Antarctica. Well, an engineer called Kelsey also went to Antarctica. So I went, so through being an engineer, I was given an opportunity to apply for a Women in STEM leadership program, which is a global leadership program called Homeward Bound Projects. And I was selected to be on the 3rd cohort. And I went through a year-long leadership training program, and at the sort of height of that, we went to Antarctica as a cohort from around the globe, women from all different countries. We went to Antarctica for 3 weeks. Beautiful place, absolutely stunning place. It's so pristine, and we did a lot of, I won't go into it, a lot of training in that when we were there, but we were also able to do shore landings, see the penguins, seals, whales out our windows. You'd be in a speech or a workshop, and you'd just see a whale outside of the window, and everyone would stop and run out. So stunning place, but I think the most exciting, not the best part, but the exciting part is the crossing from Argentina to Antarctica. It's called the Drake Passage. Has anyone been? Yeah, so you might know what the Drake Passage is like. So the Drake Passage, you can either have a Drake Lake. So Drake Lake is like super flat, like the Swan, on a still day, not a windy day. Or you can have a Drake Shake. So on the way there, we had a beautiful Drake Lake, and on the way back, we had a Drake Shake. So we were in between 2 storms. The captain of the ship was doing that strategically so he would get back and not be hit by a storm, but the swell was still about 14 metres high. So we were in this massive swell. I remember having to sleep, which I barely did, over 2.5 days. I had to wedge myself into my bed. So I had a bed and I put my life jacket underneath the mattress, so it was angling the mattress into the wall, so then I could sleep in that little rut and not roll around.
Yeah. Does anyone still want to go to Antarctica?
Just do Bass Strait first and then do it.
But saying that, that's the most, even though in the moment it's a bit scary, it's still one of my most memorable moments from that trip.
So jealous. I want to go to Antarctica too. I've been on this planet too long. So The most exciting thing I think I've done was a couple of years ago I had a bit of a step change in my career, and I've worked in the railways division or railways industry for a really long time at Rio, and I had the opportunity to go step into another product group, so it was actually our sole product group, and further to that I got to work in the marine section. So I've gone from messing around with a train set for many years, and then I've gone into boats in marine. So what I actually was doing there, I was project managing what's called the dry docking of 2 tugboats that we use down at our Carnarvon Lake McLeod operation. So when you dry dock a vessel, you pull it out of the water, you put it up on stands and you give it a birthday basically. You strip all the paint off, you fix any of the mechanical issues you've got, you replace componentry that needs replacing, and make it look all shiny and fresh and new, and then put it back in the water. And there's a lot of testing and compliance stuff you have to get ticked off to say yes, this vessel is seaworthy and it can go back into operation for another 5 years. So I had, I'd never played in marine before, I'd never messed around with tugboats. I have always loved tugboats, because being a bit of a rev head, the power to weight ratio in a tugboat is just awesome. They're so tiny and they've got so much grunt. So I've always loved them. So to actually do that was so great, and took me out of my comfort zone. I was project managing. It was a $5 million project, so the biggest project that I managed in my career. Never really project managed before, so I was like, oh, okay. And
Just wing it.
Yeah, 2 years. And 2 at once as well. Ooh. So yeah, normally there's only one you've got to deal with. So the fact that I did that, I got to mess around with tugboats. Before we pulled them out of the water, I actually went out to our McLeod operations, and it's based at a place called Cape Cuvia, which is north of Carnarvon. And it's some of the most stunning coastline you'll ever see in your life. And bobbing around on a tugboat on a beautiful sunny day in Cape Cuvia, looking at the cliffs, and so similar, just going, yeah, I could get used to this. This is pretty cool. And then coming to Perth, doing the docking, and it being the worst winter Perth's had in, because we don't dock vessels in the summer. That would be too easy. We try to paint them when it rains. But to be able to get to the end of that project and get them back into service and overcome all the challenges and stuff, and just to say I got to play with tugboats was pretty cool. So
Sorry, is it fun or exciting?
Exciting. Could be both.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I'm my boss of I'm the boss. So that's pretty cool. That's very cool. I don't know, no big story. I get to make my own choices. I fly where I want to fly, take my kids on holidays. It's very stressful. Don't go. It's not always fun. But yeah, I own a company.
Can I add something in there for you? Sorry, I'm just going to jump in because I know you. You now get to make the opportunities for the girl that you once were. And I think that's really amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Having my own company, I get to. Is that okay to? Yeah. So we, my partner Jared, he's a lot of the brains behind it sometimes. So, but I get to run it and sort it all out. But we have a pre-employment program for young students where we train them, engage them, I mentor them, interview them and bring them into the workplace. I have a female engagement program where we train and bring mums that can't get employment or are too scared for employment into the workplace. It's called Mums at PCM, or if we don't want to be biased, parents at PCM. Have had some dads that I've brought on, and I have an Indigenous engagement program. And I may not make sense because I also done COCPAT last night because homeless and charity work is really close to my heart. So the fact that I own a company, I can donate money because it's my money to donate. So that's the end goal, to go and do help people. So yeah, from it. So if I don't make sense, it's not my pretty bomb last night. It was very cold outside last night. Yeah, I've learned belly sleeping's a bit warmer. Just saying. On your belly. Numb hands, but a bit more comfortable. So yeah, not too exciting, but you just get to control your own life a little bit more. So.
One of the most memorable projects I was involved in was relocating a crusher for Alcoa. So if you jump on YouTube and put in Alcoa crusher relocation, Montadolphus video is a lot better than Alcoa's, just saying. But watch them both, there's a lot of drone footage in there. So this crusher that crushes up their bauxite weighed just shy of 1,000 tonne, and we transported it on an SPMT, self-propelled modular transport, so it's really, really long trailers that have wheel on them. So I had 21 lines of wheels, and we drove it 17 kilometres down the whole road to put it in its new location. And, I was involved in tendering that project and bidding it, and we successfully won it and handed it over to the execution team to do, and they spent probably 6 months getting ready for it, doing all the pre-works and disconnecting everything and getting it ready to pretty much jack it up, slide these big trailers underneath, and then drive it to the new location as well. And just going to watch that, because I didn't care what else I had on that day, I just said, I'm going to go and watch this, because this is really, really cool, and I just stood there the whole time. So cool. This is so exciting. Isn't this cool? Isn't this really cool? And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't get to do this every day. Pick something up that heavy and go. And it was the person walking in front, just with a little remote control, driving this trailer. Someone on each side, making sure that you didn't take the corner too fast. And it was really, really slow initially. It's facing forward, and they drove it out and pivoted this whole thing 90 degrees. And then have a look on YouTube. Really,
how heavy are we talking in terms of weight? Like
1,000 tonne.
Yeah,
997 tonne.
1,000 elephants maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's massive.
Really cool.
Yeah, cool.
I was trying to figure out how much chocolate it was, but
Enough just for me.
that's in my head when.
You get to play with big stuff, that's what I like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything is on just a massive scale. Yeah.
Good. All right. And what activities do you like to do outside of work for fun?
Well, I still love seeing theatre, so I now I go to see a lot of shows and the ballet. I also like to run quite a lot, and over the past year I've also put my energy into renovating my house, which if anyone has gone through that, they will know how fun that is at first and how grinding that becomes. But I have no regrets. But we did have an internal flood in there, in the middle, which made it a bit worse. But I am digressing. I think the other, pardon?
Catgate.
Catgate, yes, it's cat, yes. My cat may have caused the flood. I have 2 cats, I have a dog as well, so I'm a huge animal lover, and I love taking my dog for walks on the beach and by the river as well. And then I love being in beautiful Perth, being from the East Coast. I didn't think I'd be here this long, but now Perth is very much home. I was in Karratha for 4 years, but I love being here, and I love the outdoor lifestyle, like camping and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, over to you, Dawn.
I'm a mother of 3 children and 2 dogs, and have a husband, so I don't understand your question.
That's a hobby though, isn't
it? Hobby? Yeah, the parents in the room will hopefully understand. No, so yeah, look, my kids are great, keep me very, very busy. I'm a soccer mum, basketball mum, AFL mum, you know, all of the above, as well as working full time. But you know, to your point, like we do what we do because of our kids as well. I want to be a role model for them as well, and yeah, so I just get very busy. I sleep when I can. Actually, that's what I like to do for fun. Sleep when I can.
You don't need to sleep.
It's overrated.
girls kick butt at dancing, and so the dad always says, you got your moves from your mum. So I'm like dance mum, and I was actually meant to have flown home today. I actually cancelled the flight to be here because my girls are in a dance comp tomorrow morning. So I will get there for the next set of dances. So PCM Group is the company. We have our own netball club. So yeah, I coach, manage, support a netball club. So yeah, it's mine. It's my baby. Soccer mum, the whole lot. Do a bit of travel. I actually do quite a bit of travel. Spent more time on a plane last month than I did seeing my kids, which is not great, but we get to take them to lots of places, so we travel with them, and we've just bought a caravan, so that's pretty cool.
So fortunately my kids are young enough that I haven't lost my Saturdays too much yet. So we just do, we do little athletics in the summer, and then I'm a CrossFitter, a bit out of shape at the moment, long hours, but yeah, do that for fun after work. The kids do CrossFit as well, so no age, you can start as young as you want. It's all body weight movements when you're younger as well, so it's perfectly safe. That's a really good stress outlet for me as well. I have to have something to offset the high stress environment of work before I go home to my family. So other things, cooking, I love cooking as well. That's something I've learnt to love recently. My husband's so much better than me, but just our work routine, it just fell into place easier that I come home and cook, and then by then he's picked up the kids from my parents after school, and I can just do that little switch off in between and just enjoy.
Oh yeah, I love baking.
Yeah, I'm a baker. I can't bake. Yeah. Does anyone here like baking? Yeah.
I make
I like
a mean
eating.
cupcake.
Alright, I do have one more question that I might pass it on to our audience. What have you been surprised to learn about your job since you started?
So the thing that I've been surprised about is that, so engineers, you just think of technical. And I think it goes to something that maybe Gemma was saying earlier, is that engineering and many other careers as well, you're actually helping people. So when you think, if you think of helping people, normally you think of a doctor, maybe a scientist or a health worker. But we need clean water, we need electricity to power our homes, we need roads to drive on, and all of that comes with engineering and so much more. It comes with maintenance, it comes with accounting, it comes with so much. So I think if you really want to make an impact and help people on a big scale, a career in STEM or a career in engineering can really help you amplify that scale. I'm involved with Engineers Without Borders Australia. I sit on the board of that, but I've been involved with the organisation for 12 years. And that is an organisation that does give back and helps people within Australia and also in the Asia Pacific, I guess embed sort of, engineering, clean water, access to clean water, access to roofs over our heads, housing, all that sort of stuff. It's an amazing organisation, and I'd encourage you to look it up as well. But I think just remember that, when you think of what you want to do, or what you aspire to do, what you think of. So if you want to help people, for example, there are many different ways that you can do it. It's not just the first career path that pops into your head. There's normally a lot of other careers where you can achieve the same outcomes.
What surprised me, I think for me, it's the fact that after 30 years in resources and mining, I actually still really enjoy it. And, if someone had told 17-year-old Donna that, I'd be doing something completely different from mechanical fitting and machining, but the fact that I'd still be in the resources industry and still doing all that comes with that, I probably wouldn't have believed you. So It's just so diverse in what you can do, what you can be involved in. Like Hel said, there's so many different things that you can apply what we do to. So I think it's a place of awesome opportunity and lots of different and diverse things that you can do. So get into it.
In my role, it's super challenging, which is also on the flip side really rewarding. This is no sleep coming out now. The most challenging part, I suppose, would be the fact that I couldn't do what I was doing because a female is. So that it's changed in the last 5 years. So for girls and guys, like it's going to make life easier for you. But I've had to fight for everything. I've had to prove we can do it, that I can do it, and we're not just a fraud company because I am a female leader of the company. So it took a very long time, but now we're at a point where like we've earned our place, and now I walk into a room and I'm definitely an equal. But it took a very long time for that to be, and it was about the way. Like I don't normally show my arms or a V-neck, but I feel comfortable because if I went into a room back in the day with like if it was male counterparts, I would always make sure I was covered because I was told that because I was a younger female, I was only there because I was the young female. So I had to work super hard at trying to prove otherwise, but you just got to like grit your teeth and keep going and just don't let anyone like push you down over it. So.
And you ladies are paving the way for our young ladies in the audience today. Thanks.
I think something that surprised me or almost caught me out is, especially going through school, I never really stopped and went, why are there not more women doing what I'm doing? It was just like, oh, that's a bit weird. There's not many girls in applicable maths than me. Oh, there's only a couple of us in chemistry. But I never really stopped and dwelled any further because of, the people I was surrounded with never said, oh, well, you do those units, you have to do engineering. It was, oh, you do those units, here's the opportunities you can do. And for me, I was working backwards going, I want to be an engineer, so I need to do all these units at school to get me on that pathway, which is pretty rare. But even when I got to uni and you look around in 500 in first year engineering, like, that's a bit weird. Not many women in here. But it didn't really hit me until I got into the workplace. I still can't really work it out. Like, why? Why is it even like that? It's like the industry had this perception, and society had this perception that women couldn't do all these roles. But the people that are caught up in it, if you want to do that, it doesn't really affect you until you're actually in that situation yourself and you look around and other people are judging you or making assumptions based purely on this bias that has nothing to do with you. You haven't done anything to affect their opinion. So you do start overcompensating and going into rooms and going, yep, I need to stamp my mark and let people make sure they're taking me seriously from early on as well. And then it surprised me that you eventually get to that point where you don't really care anymore because you just have to trust that you're there because you do a really good job at what you do, and that's it really. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing and being kind to one another, that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I think it was surprising that to have that revelation eventually and just feel comfortable that it doesn't really actually matter what anybody else thinks as long as people around me are comfortable and happy, then that's it really.
Yeah, that's great.
A little bit off topic, like this is off topic again because I'm good at that. You don't have to. And again, this is not a thing to go to quit school. If you don't finish school, or you don't go to uni, or you don't do exams, or your family doesn't have a ton of money, and your mum and dad don't know everyone, doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do, right? So I didn't have any of those opportunities, but just keep pushing on. I went to TAFE, I didn't go to uni, I couldn't afford uni. But my TAFE then covered me 2 years at my uni, which I didn't end up doing either because I didn't. I have my own business. But like there is always a different route to your goal. Like it doesn't, it's not always school, uni, done. And it doesn't have to be operations, it doesn't have to be STEM, it doesn't have to be this. Like, do what you want to do, but figure out a path to get there. And it doesn't always have to be the toughest path, it may be an easy. You may just be able to go do like vocational and find a job that fits you perfectly and do an apprenticeship straight away. Like, find what you love and then just go keep going.
Oh, that's great. That is
A parent's gonna like, you're gonna get in trouble, aren't they? But honestly, like, there's so many other options out there.
Yeah, I think that is important to highlight.
Like one of the kids in my employment program in Darwin, it's a different, like I'm based in Darwin, so I was managed to negotiate him to finish school at year 11 because he wanted to be a boilermaker. He couldn't pass school, he couldn't read and write. He's now a second year boilermaker apprentice of me because I put him for a Cert 2 and Cert 3. When he finishes his third year, or end of his second year, I can now write back to the school in Darwin and I've had it government approved, and he's now going to graduate year 12. He couldn't read and write last year, but he's passing his apprenticeship and he's doing really amazing. So if you struggle with anything, there's still always a way if someone believes in you. Just go, believe in yourself and then have someone else to support that.
That's great, Gemma. I think that's important to highlight that there isn't one right answer, one way to get there.
You
There's
don't.
like
As
a
long as
million
you
ways
know
to
where
get
you
there.
want to go,
That's
and
right.
just, hopefully there's someone there to help you. If not, help yourself.
Make your own way.
Yep. That's great. I feel inspired today. I don't know about you guys. But before we do wrap it up, I would like to invite any questions from our audience if you've got any questions. Yeah, please.
Hi. I really like to read. Is there any books that you might recommend to me? Or
I used to read a lot. I've run out of time. This was my New Year's resolution this year. Someone told me I have to read Shoe Dog, the night story.
It is good.
It got gifted to me, and my daughter has stolen it. And so every time I jump on a plane, it's not at my bedside. So maybe I'll have a think about that and get back to you. But unless you.
I'm not, so one of my weaknesses is I often can't remember names of books or music, so I will get back to you after this because there are some that I know of, but I just can't remember the titles. I'm so sorry.
I can recommend a podcast. So I don't prioritise reading books. I sit and read the newspaper on the weekend. That's my chill time. But I listen to podcasts all the way to work. So Something Rhymes with Purple has Susie Dent from 8 out of 10 Catsters Countdown. And they talk about words. So they pick a different topic every time, every podcast. They put a disclaimer at the front of the episode if there's any language warning. So you can turn off, like it's very rare, like they put a disclaimer at the start. But they pick a topic and they go back on the etymology of different words and follow the history of words. So yeah, really cool.
what's that called?
Something Rhymes with Purple.
ABC Fierce Girls is really good too. If you haven't, it's got podcasts and there's a book as well. So yeah, that's a good one. Tells stories about different people and how they've succeeded and done different things. So, and it goes right back to like the story of Joan of Arc and stuff all the way through to modern times. So that's a pretty cool one.
What's that called?
Fierce Girls, it's an ABC podcast. Yeah, and there's books for it as well. Yeah.
I have a book recommendation though. There's a series by an Australian author. I think the first one is Girl in the Steel Cat Boots, which talks about an engineer who goes to Port Hedland to work in the industry up there for the first time. And then there's some follow-ons here, the girl in the hard hat and the girl in the high vis, I think. But I've got it on my phone, I'll show you.
I used to just go Sierra Elizabeth bookstore in Fremantle and just go through that and yeah.
We'll wrap up, hey? We're running into time. I have one important question. Who likes donuts? That was my first question. Second question. All right, now I've got your attention. I just want to know from you guys, the younger ones in the crowd, what do you guys actually think about when you think about what you want to do for a job? Got any ideas? Anyone? Anyone? Biologist, yeah. We usually get vet. We usually get doctor. We get all those common ones. That's a good one. Very good. Very broad, but very good. You? Astronomist. Page girl. Love space. You? That's cool. Design cartoon characters. That's pretty cool. I've got a mate that works for Disney. She draws the cartoon characters. It's literally, so my point being, you get all these common sort of careers that you, I guess as a child I wanted to be a vet, and then I wanted to be like a marine biologist. I'm none of those things. The possibilities are endless. It's as long as you've got someone to support you. So my dad is my idol. He supports me in everything that I do. And the one thing that I take away from that relationship with my father is that you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Okay? Literally anything. Dream it, believe it, you can do it, and your parents will have you back 1000% of the way, but there's also other people that will help you along the way as well. And those are your people like your teachers, your principals. So as you're going through school and you figure out what you like, so science, I love science. I'm a geologist now, so I like rocks. I have a rock collection.
Do you taste the rocks? My son would love you.
Yeah. So yeah, I do, hand on heart, have a rock collection. It makes me happy.
Did I have names?
That's too personal to handle.
She has favourites though.
I bet she does.
What I guess I'm trying to say is that I have so many passions, so many, and I would love to do them all as a job. But it's about figuring out what you like, and then figuring out, could you actually do that every day for the rest of your life to earn money? And what do you enjoy out of life? And yeah, I guess I like rocks, so I ended up being a geologist. So, yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you to the panelists tonight. Amazing. Yeah, just if you can take anything away, it's just that people have your back, and anyone's there to help. So if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to chat to us afterwards. I hope you got something out of tonight, and thank you all for coming. And now we can get to the donuts.